I am your host, Leah Dunlap, and you are listening to the Oracle on Purpose podcast, where we help intentional leaders clarify their purpose and next steps to create a work and life of significance. Hello, and welcome to the show. I am Leah Dunlap, your host. This is Oracle on Purpose podcast, and today I would like to welcome you to a very special guest. I was very fortunate to participate in Podapalooza. Yes, Podapalooza. And I met so many amazing people. So I'm really excited for our next guest. And I will get you all introduced to her properly. But before I do, I want to let you know that we have such a great opportunity with opportunities like Podapalooza to really see so many different new, unique people who are doing such amazing things in the world. And as you know, one thing that we're always looking for here is people who are following their purpose and creating impact in the world. So I'm really excited. Today I am going to be speaking to Consuela Munoz. As I mentioned to her, I'm getting ready to head to Cabo, so I'm practicing my Enye. So it is Munoz, folks, Munoz with a Enye. I would like to let you know about Consuela. She is a certified strengths. Okay, there we go. I knew I was going to do that. It's always the S's that get me, folks. She's a certified strengths coach focusing on leadership and engagement. She's a trainer, a speaker, an author, and founder of C School, the CEO Way and Impact Makers Playground. Doesn't that sound juicy? Following a 20-year career at a privately held multinational company, employing 13,000 with 10 billion in sales, that's a B, billion, folks, Munoz decided to start her coaching business and found Own Your Confidence. Consuela believes that everyone should be excited about the work that they are doing. I wholeheartedly agree with that. And that we are here to celebrate and engage our strengths in how we own our confidence. So Consuela, thank you so much for joining us today. So glad to have you here.
Welcome. Thank you. I'm so excited to join you. I love the way you said my name. It was amazingly beautiful.
Well, it is amazingly beautiful. So we're all off to a good start. As I mentioned, for our podcast, we are always focusing on what are those questions about purpose? What brings us to do the work that we do? And I know that as a fellow ex-corporate expat, that oftentimes what gets someone to jump the train and leave the corporate world is a sense of finding bigger, more purposeful fulfillment in life. So I am curious to know, with the work that you do, how do you find that you align what you're doing now with the part of you that really feels purposeful and fulfilled?
Oh my goodness. I'm just all aflutter right now. That's just awesome. So I think a lot of folks that are in corporate, or even if you're not, you go through a point, we get through a point in our life. I don't want to say we get to a certain age, but we get to a certain point. You know, you go to work all day, you come home, you get up and you do the same thing day after day, week after week, month after month. And so at one point you're like, what is the point of this? What is the point of what I'm doing? And when you have that point, that's when you start your second half or your second act, or, you know, whichever way people want to say it. But that's the point when you have to make that choice and that decision to say, no, I'm meant for more.
Absolutely.
And what is my more going to be? Now, it's really easy to say, like, we're going to do that, but how do you figure out what your more is meant to be? You know, they always say, oh, you know, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. Okay, that's great, but we all can't climb mountains. So what is my more meant to be? And that's one of the things I work with folks to figure out is what more are you meant to do? And I bring in, you know, the factor of strengths as well as what you enjoy doing and what really gives you purpose. And that's how we figure out what your more is.
And that is exactly why I plucked you from the Podapalooza stage and said, I need to talk to her, because that is exactly what we do here. It's such an important piece. Like I said, I completely agree that the more that we're looking for is unique to us. The way I like to phrase it when I work with my clients is you have a unique life purpose, not just a life purpose, but something that is unique to you, born through you as you. And I think that this idea and the concept of understanding our strengths is such a key component in knowing what that specific unique thing is and how we can actually develop it in a way that we not only become fulfilled in our purpose, but we actually prosper. I like to say, if you really do know your unique life purpose, you have the key to your divine prosperity. So tell me, as you use your work and you're a speaker and you've got your C school, you're doing all of these things, of course, developing obviously from your own strengths. How do you see how your work has a positive impact on the world today?
So in a couple different ways, but the biggest impact I have is with each individual that goes through whatever program they're in, when they get to the point where they own their confidence, right? And so
Mm,
when I work, this is what we're born with. Our strengths are what we're born with. You are born with a natural ability in some areas that nobody else is able to do. And when you figure that out, that's great. Like we can identify them, that's really nice, but then you could do nothing with it. So it's when you take that knowledge and you start applying it. And that's when I say engage those strengths. And you start using them with purpose so that more and more of each of your day is done with things that you do really well. And then you'll get to a point, and it's almost like you can tell, I can sense when someone gets to that point where they really own it. And that's when they own their confidence. And when you get to that point, like there's no room for doubt. There's no room for their saboteurs or the imposter syndrome or any of that, because you're like, no, this is what I do. This is how I do it. And you don't have to listen to anybody. So I talk some about shiny object syndrome, and we, small business owners, individuals get bombarded like, oh, do it this way, do it that way. But when you really understand your strengths and you're able to do them, use them with purpose, you'll be able to say, no, that's not how I do things. I do things this way. And people will come at you and say, oh, but you could try this. And you're like, no, based on my strengths, I do it this way. And this is how I get the results. And when you're at that point, none of that chatter matters, because you're like, no, this is what I meant to do. This is how I do things best, and I'm going to continue for it. There was a lady I was talking with, and she, bright young thing, goes into the finance group, and she was having a lot of success. Now, everybody in her office was older, white dudes, been doing it for forever. And they're like, hey, but we see that you're doing this, but that's not how you're supposed to do it. You should do it this way. And she's like, actually, the way I'm doing it based on my strengths is working really well, and it's getting me good results. Right. And so when you're at that point where you can tell people, no, I have my own way, that's when they own their confidence. And that gives me the most joy and has the most impact. Now I can work with a group or individuals, but it doesn't matter, because each person tips over. You can see it. It's like they glow from within, and that glow really is their power and knowing what they're most capable of doing.
Yes, and if that piece of understanding, like you said, the knowing is key, because the knowing is that connection. In our realm here, as an intuitive guide, the beauty of what I get to do with my own clients in that way is really clarify that purpose, build on those strengths, and alignment is the key. But I think it all comes back to, as you were just saying, once you have that alignment, the knowing is the power, the knowing of self, the knowing of what road you're on, because it isn't the same as everyone else. And it's so important to the society as a whole when the individuals get to deliver what they're meant to deliver here. There's a 1 in 400 quadrillion chance, you guys hear me say this all the time, that you were even born. Yes, that's quadrillion with a Q. 400 quadrillion chance that you were born. It is not an accident, happened on purpose. And as you said, Consuela, them having the understanding what those natural born strengths are is key to that. It's key to delivering what you're meant to deliver here. So I'm curious for Consuela Munoz. This is the big question. It's our $1,000,000 question. What is your big vision for your future as you move forward?
Okay, well, so I do have a very big vision. It's obviously around my strengths and what gives me purpose. And I actually just kind of renamed it a little bit. This is my anchoring goal. And my anchoring goal is to be able to build what I had been calling a spa and resort. But now
Mm.
accidentally on purpose, when I was writing about it, I called it something else. And after I wrote it, I was like, wait, that's kind of way better. And so now my anchoring vision goal is to create the Blue Barn Spa and Retreat Center. And so with that, being able to give back to people in the community that are struggling with their confidence by both building them up through their strengths and through coaching on the inside, but then giving them the tools to have the confidence in their outside appearance as well. And that is something we will do at the Blue Barn Spa and Retreat Center.
You heard it here first, folks. The Blue Barn Spa and Retreat Center. Yes. Make sure we get that right. That's so exciting for me. I just recently helped a client build another business in Scotland. She's in California. And that was one of her goals. And she just sent out, shout out April Blake. She just sent out a notice a blast across social media that she got her permits for her clinic. And we changed it from clinic, which is why I'm saying that, to wellness center, because it naming matters, folks. And it is an alignment piece too, right? It's an alignment piece when you can speak the words that are true for you, right? For you to notice that, oh wait, this other word really encompasses that aligned part of who you are and what you want to deliver in the world. That matters. And it matters that you have that vision in front of you. And I love the idea and the concept of having a space for that, because the more people, but women in general too, have a space to really stand in their full power, the better off the world is going to be, which of course is my ultimate goal, to make sure everybody's here doing their purpose in the best way possible so that the world gets the best of you. And I love how you've created that as your big vision, and it ties so well with the work that you're doing today. So I hope that that vision continues to expand, grow you into it, which I think is a fun part of having a big vision. So as people are listening to this and feeling like, yes, this is a place, and especially when you mentioned the one woman who, is coming up against, and we often do, that external noise, as you said, chatter, what's your final thought for someone in that space who maybe doesn't have a Consuela on their shoulder, right? But if they did, what would you tell them? Like, what's that first, the next only one thing? Doors are closing on the elevators. One more thing. What is it you want them to know, Consuela?
That's a lot of pressure.
I know. Don't worry.
The elevator's closing. I will figure out a way to keep them in the elevator. That's what I'm. No,
I will stop the elevator. I have something to tell you. And
push the red button.
What is the thing that you want them to know for sure?
Well, I want them to know that each of us, as you're saying, each of us was meant to be here and meant to do something amazing. And that there's no reason for us to settle for just average when there's greatness inside of us. You can and you should work to have the impact that you are meant to have in this lifetime.
Amen. There we go. You can and should work to have the impact you are meant to have in this lifetime. I completely agree. I am so grateful that you've been here to share this tidbits of great information with our people, but I know that there's probably so much more that they can learn from you. So why don't you tell everybody how they can get in touch with you later, should they want to?
Well, and one thing I would just like to go ahead and give to your group, it's what I call the confidence recipe. So you can go to confidencerecipe.com, and there you are able to download a guide that helps you to really start to celebrate the gifts that you've been giving, engage your strengths until you can have the chance to own your confidence.
Fantastic. Well, there you go, guys. Confidencerecipe.com, super simple. We'll, of course, have it in the notes so you can find it no matter what. We are going to be across all of those social media platforms. But just again, we're going to say it one more time. If you want to get a hold of Consuela Munoz, if you want to really boost your confidence and you're ready to make your impact what it's meant to be, then go to confidencerecipe.com, stay in touch with us. Consuela, let us know when that big vision is unveiled to the world. We'd love to hear about it. Again, thanks everybody for watching and listening today. I am Leah Dunlap. This is the Oracle on Purpose podcast. And no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing, please remember you are absolutely here on purpose.
Thanks for tuning in to the Oracle on Purpose show. If you found value in this episode, we'd appreciate you leaving a comment. Also, you can subscribe and ring the bell if you haven't yet. If you'd like to get clear on your highest vision and next steps, go to oracleonpurpose.com. See you next week.